Very
Uh,
good. Yeah,
Ma'am, recording is not started, ma'am.
I'm starting it.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah, yeah. So these are the students who will be doing projects. It may be on section 4 of the Negotiable Instrument Act. Okay. Yeah. Come on. Next one. Just jump the slides fast. Yeah. Nishan. Characteristic of a promissory
Characteristics
note.
of a promissory note.
Yeah.
It is an instrument in writing. It
Yes.
is a promise to pay signed by
Yes.
the maker. Other
Yes.
formalities,
Yes.
definite and unconditional promise.
Yeah.
Promise to pay money only.
Yeah.
Maker must be certain person.
Yeah.
Payee must be certain.
Very
Some
good.
payable must be certain. It may
Yes.
be payable on demand or after a definite period of time. It
Yes.
cannot be made payable by to bearer on demand.
Yes. Correct. Correct. So these are the for anyway, whether it is a bill of exchange or whether whatever promissory note, whichever comes for your exam, you can write the same thing. Okay, you can write the same thing. Yeah. Next one. Yeah. Next slide, please. Yeah. These are the different types of checks. Very very
Different
important. Nishant will be speaking to you the different types of checks. Yeah.
different types of checks.
Yeah.
Bearer check. It is also known as an
Speak
open
loudly.
self.
Yeah.
Bearer check. It is also known as an open check. Open
Yeah.
check. Self check. Account pay. These are the contents in the check. Self check. Account pay check. Post
Yes.
dated check.
Yes.
Bankers check.
Yes.
Travelers check.
Very good.
Cross check.
Yes, correct.
So
So you,
types
some
of
of
check
you,
crossing.
yes, correct. Some of
Yeah.
you will be doing a research on why crossing of check is important. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Types of check crossing.
Yes.
Section 123 to
Yes.
131A.
Yes.
General crossing.
Yes.
Check bears across its
Yes.
face an addition of two parallel transverse line.
Yes.
Special closing.
Yes.
Check bears across its face an addition of bearer's name.
Yeah. Correct.
Uh,
So these are the different
restrictive
types of restrictive.
restrictive crossing. It directs the collecting bankers that he needs to credit the amount of check only to the account the payee account
Yeah.
of the payee.
Yeah. Correct.
No, non-negotiable crossing.
Yeah.
It is where the words of non-negotiable are written between the two parallel transverse line.
Yes. Correct. Correct. So yeah, very very important topic. One of your friend will be, the team leader for section 138. We'll be seeing the cases that comes up to the Supreme Court also, when people are, accused of with an intention not to make, there's a breach, monetary breach is there, they don't want to pay the amount, so they give a check, and it becomes not only a criminal offense but also the civil offense. So for example, if a case comes to me and someone is complaining about, a check which is not having insufficient funds given, and in spite of so much of calls, in spite of our legal notice, I issue the first stage of the procedure code, the criminal procedure code or the civil procedure code is, we the lawyer give a notice to that particular person, if you can pay this amount, we are not going to initiate legal proceedings. Okay, so I will be issuing a notice to that particular person who has breached, who has given maybe 40 lakhs, 50 lakhs, maybe 1 crore, and the check is bound. So I, as a lawyer, will be giving a notice to that party. We will give you 15 days time. Kindly deposit that particular amount to my client's, account. So in case again that particular person is not agreeing or maybe is not replying through his lawyer. So once we, the lawyer, give a notice, his lawyer has to reply. He cannot reply. Whoever is, he cannot reply. His lawyer has to reply to me. And in case that particular lawyer office does not reply, then I move the civil court and also the criminal court. I move both the civil court and I move the criminal court. In the civil court, we file the damages. We file for the payment of the check amount. Maybe 50 lakhs is the check amount plus the lawyer's fees. We plead. Some pleadings are there as per the civil procedure code and the criminal procedure code. So we have to follow those. And in my last prayers, I will say that the amount of 50 lakhs may be paid to us, plus the lawyer's fees, the legal expenses undertaken, we can take from the other party, plus the court fees, and also exemplary damages can be claimed. So these are the civil cases. And in case I am filing a criminal case also, it will be under the Indian Penal Code, section 415, that is definition of cheating. You all will be knowing section 420. आप लोग बोलते होंगे 420 है ना? But 420 में that particular person is arrested. It's a punishment given by someone who has committed the offense in 415. So definition of cheating we write in the petition. That particular person had an intention to cheat my client. So Lordship may kindly issue arrest warrants. He is not replying, neither return statement, nor he is paying. So kindly, so that particular person may run for an anticipatory bail also. So you will see famous cases like even our Sridevi's case, where she had to be in the High Court. She was summoned in the High Court, crores of rupees not paid by Bonnie Kapoor. Check bounce hua hai. So, Sridevi had to appear in the High Court. So it's a sort of an insult for a personality also when we lawyers file a criminal case against a particular person. We are not bothered about whoever they are. Why did you issue a check when you didn't have a balance? So that particular person who is wanting that amount, he might have done some, film production, something he might have done. Why that particular amount is not being given? So these are the things where the court summons that particular person and she has to stand there as an accused. And she has to plead that what exactly went wrong and why the check was, no money in the account. So, then at times what happens is even they are given arrest warrants also. So, these are the, we say in law, ubi jus ibi remedium. So that particular person had a right that he need to get the money on time. He did not get, so we the lawyers move both the civil court and the criminal court. Okay, so Negotiable Instrument Act is very, very important for any corporates. Wherever it is section 138, you will be doing a case on negotiable instrument. Yes, the team leader can start now. Team leader for check bouncing. Yes.
Good afternoon.
Yeah.
I will be talking about section 138 of the Negotiable Instruments
Yeah,
Act.
that's Heedle Mistry for you. She will be the team leader for check bouncing and how it will be both a civil and a criminal case. Yeah.
Dishonored check meaning,
Yeah.
so a check is said to be honored if the banks give the amount to the pay, while if the bank refuses to pay the amount to the pay, the check is said to be dishonored. In other words, dishonor of check is a condition in which the bank refuses to pay the amount of check to the pay.
Yeah, correct. Yes. Very, very important. The reasons.
There are various reasons why the check can be dishonored are insufficient funds.
Yes.
Sometimes reach late in accounts.
Yes.
Having insufficient funds in your account, which leads to dishonor. The second is irregular signatures.
Yes.
Alterations.
Yes.
Post-dated checks.
Yeah.
Stale checks.
Yes.
Or when the payment is stopped. Or in case of frozen accounts.
Yes, correct. So certain times, if a particular person is having, crores of rupees in his account and he is indulged in a case, so naturally, his accounts are frozen by Jatin, the manager. Nothing should happen. Nobody should take from his money. Now, for example, this recent case is there, right? Yesterday's case is there. So if Jatin is the manager of his HDFC bank account, of that particular deceased person, he will try to froze that account from the someone from his family will give him an instruction, or maybe the investigating authorities will give an instruction to him that please froze the account of this individual. Nobody should withdraw, nobody should transfer. So these are called frozen accounts. Okay, these are called frozen accounts. So if an account is frozen and that particular Sushant might have given some lakhs of check to a person, that person has to wait till the case is going on, until Jatin is requested to pass that money to that particular person whom he might have given a check before he expired. Okay, so all these things are frozen account of an individual. Very, very important topic in banking law. Yeah, next one. Yeah. Both the civil and the criminal offense. Yeah, speak.
Civil and criminal remedies in
Yeah.
check bounces. The civil remedy is usually a civil suit is filed in the case of dishonor of check.
Yes.
It is for the recovery of the money.
Yeah, correct.
Criminal remedy is filed when it is by nature according to the Negotiable Instruments Act, Section 138. The bouncing of check is a criminal offense in India.
Yeah. It's a criminal offense in India. Just now I told you under Section 450,
Right. And it
the
attracts
lawyers claim
punishment.
it as cheating. Yeah, and the punishment is under Section 420 of Indian Penal Code. Okay? Yeah.
Right.
Thank you so much, Hiral. Thank you
ma'am.
so much. So we will be showing all these things as a team leader. We'll be seeing the remedies. If a particular person is aggrieved, is a petitioner, how he will file a petition and how he will get the remedy done. Yeah, next one. So that's the SURFACI laws. Of course, we are having one team leader over here. So before that, I'll brief to you.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, he's there over here. He'll be speaking to you the SURFACI laws. That's Meet Khandelwal. For example,
Yes,
if Meet has given me, for my loan for my account previously, maybe I will take this one's name, Hiral's name. Hiral has taken around 40 to 50 lakhs from Meet's bank. And Hiral is not paying it on time, the EMIs. It's very, very easy. The act name and all, you might get scared. Securitization and reconstruction of financial enforcement, this. But it is so simple that if he gives a loan and Hiral is not paying money on time, so his bank is in loss. So banking means, Meet accepted money from the public and he's lending it to Hiral so that he earns some differential amount as interest. But Hiral is not paying not only the principal amount, neither the interest. So naturally, Meet's bank will be suffering NPA. And when Meet's bank is suffering NPA, Meet is answerable to the Reserve Bank of India. So if Melina comes on inspection to Meet's bank, Melina will report this NPA to the Reserve Bank of India. Got me? And the Reserve Bank of India, along with the particular departments, along with the governor, decides that Meet's bank should be closed. Okay? So we'll see, so many cases of merger. The recent Syndicate Bank getting merged to Canara Bank. So why are all these things happening? Because the RBI feels that Syndicate Bank is in losses. Given so many, loans which are not being, paid back. So what if they immediately close the Syndicate Bank? What will happen to the depositors? The depositors are going to get only 1 lakh from Reserve Bank of India. Maybe if I have put 10 lakhs in Syndicate Bank, I'll get only 1 lakh if Syndicate Bank closes. Other 9 lakh, it's loss for me, right? So that is the DICGC law of RBI.
Yes,
we call the Reserve Bank
part.
the Reserve Bank of India because Meet as a banker has kept reserves with RBI, the CRR, the SLR. So in case Meet's bank goes into a loss, the RBI will pay to the depositor only 1 lakh. If I'm having 10 lakhs, RBI will pay only 1 lakh under the DICGC law, Deposit Insurance Corporation Guarantee Corporation, which is under the Reserve Bank of India. So naturally, Meet has to take action against Hiral. So he may appoint me as a lawyer to go to the DRT, Debt Recovery Tribunal. But again, Debt Recovery Tribunal are not actual courts. They are just quasi-judicial authorities. So the quasi-judicial authorities, they take often time, tariq pe tariq. So naturally, Hiral will enjoy. She will enjoy taking the 50 lakhs and it becomes 1 crore, then it becomes 2 crores, then it becomes 3 crores. So her security is only 70 lakhs. But her, Sahara Subrato 2000 crore became, 11,000 crore with interest and EMI. So naturally, he has to take now the law. The SURFACI law is there where Meet Agarwal will come down and seal the flat. Sorry, Meet Khandelwal.
It's okay, ma'am.
You'll seal the flat of Hiral. You'll seal the flat of Hiral. He doesn't want any DRT order. He doesn't want any lawyer. He doesn't want any lawyer. Simply, if Hiral is not allowing, he can call the police. He can call the police and he can attach the flat. Okay? He can attach the flat, he can auction the flat, and he can take away the money, the banking money of maybe 40 lakhs. So balance to 30 lakhs, he will give it back to Hiral after deducting the lawyer's expenses, whatever legal expenses, auction expenses, he will give it back to Hiral. So that's very easy, the SARFAESI law. Okay?
Yes,
Very,
ma'am.
very easy is the securitization law. Yeah.
Yes, I'll read it now.
Yeah.
The Securitization and Reconstruction of Financial Assets and Enforcement of Securities Interest Act 2002, that is also known as the SARFAESI Act, is an Indian law. It allows banks and other financial institutions to auction residential or commercial properties, majorly of defaulter, to recover loans, where any borrower who is under a liability to a secured creditor under a security makes any default in repayment of secured debt or any installment thereof.
Yes. So here Hiral, where are you? You should not go away. Hiral is a person who is a defaulter. Hiral is a defaulter. So naturally, Hiral is a defaulter and she has to pay the money on time. But she isn't doing. So that's the weapon with him. That is, he can he can always, attach a flat. Yeah. Next one.
And thereof, also his account in respect of such debt is classified by the second creditor as non-performing assets.
Secured creditor. You are a secured creditor. Viral bought 70 lakhs ka flat. You paid her 40 lakhs. Hiral, you gave Hiral how much? 40 lakhs, right?
Yes.
Her flat is worth 70 lakhs. Okay. But her flat documents are with whom? With you.
Yes.
Her flat documents are with you. Can she sell the flat to me?
No.
No, it is encumbered under the law. Got me?
Okay.
It is called encumbrances. See, finance, when you're appearing for interview, you should know all these words. Otherwise, 100 may say you won't be selected. Maybe there is 100 in a day interview. So you need to use all these words. Otherwise, it is tough competition outside. Now it's going to be tougher. It's going to be very tougher. So encumbered flat it is. She cannot sell me the flat. So naturally, first I have to pay the money. She has to pay the money. Then only she can sell the flat, right? So that is why it is called that it is an encumbered property. He is a secured creditor. He is a secured creditor. Documents are with Meet Khandelwal. Okay? Yeah. Next one.
Yes. Has by the secured creditor has non-performing assets, that is NPA, then the secured creditor may require to that is bid in the auction the property to recover the loans.
Yeah. So naturally, you Meet will be watching. Meet will be watching first few months. He will think, okay, fine, I'll give her 1 more month. She may pay it next month. Again, next month, maybe her job is gone because of this corona, so she cannot pay the EMI. So he will wait for another 2-3 months, right? But if it goes to the doubtful stage, then he need to take the action because it's people's money. He has handed it over to Hiral. It's not his own money. It is the people of India's money, as depositors' money. And therefore, he will have to do this. He will have to auction the property to recover the loan of 40 lakhs. Plus, maybe 10 lakhs, all the expenses you incurred. Okay? Yeah. Next one. There are amendments to the act.
Amendments to SARFAESI Act. The amendment to this act is an act to regulate securitization and reconstruction of financial assets and enforcement of security interest, and to provide for a central database of security interest created on property rights and for matters connected therewith or incidental thereto.
Yeah, so matters connected therewith and incidental thereto. Maybe she also took a car loan also. So that also is worried. That also she is not paying. So any matters connected to or incidental thereto, he has the power to under the SARFAESI Act. Yeah, next one. Next one. Yeah, the DRT. Just read out, Meet. What is the DRT?
Yes, ma'am.
Previously, you had the tension to appoint a lawyer to go to the DRT. Now, do you need me? Now, do you need me? No.
No, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes. the DRT laws, the Debts Recovery Tribunal enforces provisions of the recovery of debts due to the Banks and Financial Institutions Act 1993, and also the Securitization and Reconstruction of Financial Assets and Enforcement of Security Interest, that is SURFACI Act. Debt recovery tribunals were created in 1993 through an act to speed up cases for financial recovery by the banks. The banks and financial institutions were experiencing lot of delays and difficulties in recovering the money. Where
You
the
saw
debt,
so many scams taking place, है ना? You saw no Sahara, you saw Kingfisher, crores of rupees gone, you know, depositors' money gone.
where the debt due from the borrower is more than rupees 10 lakhs, the case could be filed in DRT. The working of the tribunal is similar to a court. The borrower who is aggrieved by the order to the DRT can approach the appellate tribunal.
Appellate tribunal.
Tribunal.
The debt recovery appellate tribunal. So appeals can go to the DRAT.
Such an appeal should be made within 45 days of receiving the orders of the DRT. He has to deposit 75% of the amount which is due from him to the bank or financial institution while filing his appeal. The appellate tribunal has got the powers to reduce or waive this amount.
So if, for example, Hiral gets an order from Debt Recovery Tribunal of pay immediately to, Meet's bank 60 lakhs. And she is saying, no, I want to appeal to it. I want to appeal. You know, she has a right to appeal. So she appeals to the DRAT, but she has to pay the 75% of the amount that if I am the DRT judicial officer and I have told that, no, you have to pay 60 lakhs immediately. So 75% of 60 lakhs she has to pay to me. She has to deposit with the DRAT. Then only the DRAT will take up her appeals. Okay. So these are the things that we have it in recovery of loans due to banks. You understood what's a loan. So the process we will be doing in the projects that people will be, explaining to the class along with Meet Khandelwal. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Next one. The next slide. The process you all will be doing in the project. So this is insolvency and bankruptcy code. One of you will be doing. You can go for the next slide. Along with the SURFACI, one will be doing. Now we have, not Twinkle from your class. It's Reserve Bank of India. From your team, you are having RBI. Who is the one, the team leader for RBI?
Ma'am, I'm
Reserve
there.
Bank of India. Yes, you are having over there. Yes, introduce.
Hello everyone, my name is Kanika and I will be taking the RBI preamble.
Yes.
So the section 22 gives the RBI the authority over the other banks, and the preamble of RBI describes the basic functions of RBI, and the preamble of RBI is to regulate the issue of banknotes and keeping of reserves with a view to securing monetary stability in India and generally to operate the currency and credit system of the country to its advantage.
Now listen to that very carefully. The preamble states that to regulate the issue of banknotes. So if you remove the pocket may say your currency, it's given the RBI, the Reserve Bank of India, the legal tender. It's a legal tender. So the mints are producing it. We're having 5 to 6 mints in all over India. On behalf of the Reserve Bank of India, these things are taking place. Issue of the banknotes and minting and printing of the banknotes. Next is keeping reserves with a view to securing the monetary stability. So yes, Meet is one of the banker. Meet, I will request you all to be there. All of you, please. All of you with me for the next 15-20 minutes. So over here you will see Meet as one of the banker. Yes, all of you can start appearing. Please don't wait for the corporates to take you. You can just appear for these exams. And one of the bank is, he is joining, Meet is joining. He is keeping reserves with the Reserve Bank of India. One of the bank, Jatan is joining. They are also, like that, hundreds and thousands of bank in India are maintaining the CRR and SLR with the Reserve Bank of India. So crores of rupees goes to the Reserve Bank of India from all these banks in India. Maybe Punjab National Bank, maybe whatever banks in Bank of Maharashtra, maybe, you know, whichever banks you see, they have to maintain the cash reserve ratio with the Reserve Bank of India to maintain the stability of our Indian economy. Agar ek bank डूब गया, or if any bank goes into loss, the RBI has to step in. The RBI has to step in. So naturally, it maintains the reserve of the country. Go for the preamble once again, please. The slide of the preamble. So you will see, third is the view to securing the monetary stability in India. I told you just now, we are having the monetary policy department. It, you know, the interest rates, the bank rates, the priority sector lending, agriculture ko 15% should go, industrialist ko 12% should go, education should go, people should be given, you know, for cottage industries. So if they're having any issues pertaining to if Meet or Jatin doesn't sanction them the loan, they can give the complaint to the Reserve Bank of India. Okay, they can give the complaint to the Reserve Bank of India, and Reserve Bank of India will see to it that the, you know, the topmost personality of his bank will be summoned there. Usually, we from the Reserve Bank call the CMDs of his bank. CMD of his bank is answerable if public is complaining that we are not getting loans properly. We are only giving loans to those people who are influential. So the bankers have to follow priority sector lending. Okay. So all these things is the monetary stability that we are having, the rules pertaining to monetary stability. That's the monetary policy department. Your friends will be speaking to you. Now, generally to operate the currency management credit system of the country. Credit, again, I told you, here they have not written the foreign exchange reserve. We are having the foreign exchange reserve management also of the country. Okay. Yeah. Next one. Next one. The next slide, please. Yes. Yeah, here.
Supervision of banks is done by RBI.
So you can speak the main functions which is shown in the monetary manager.
This part is supervision of bank is to be done by me.
Mansi, so you can speak about this particular thing, that is it's a monetary manager.
So okay, so supervision of banks.
So Mansi, Kanika has to speak about the functions. 1 minute. Okay. Kanika has to speak about the functions. Monetary management, financial system manager, foreign exchange manager. Kanika.
Yeah, ma'am, I'm taking over. So the supervision of banks is monetary manager, financial system manager, foreign exchange manager, then comes currency manager, then fifth is payment system, then it is a banker to the banks, and banker to Government of India.
Yeah, Government of India, correct. And then go to the department. Jatin, go to the third slide down, the Department of Reserve Bank of India, not this. The Department of Reserve Bank. Again down, again. Department of Reserve Bank of India. Yeah, these are the Department of Reserve Bank of India. She will be giving a brief. Monetary Policy and Research Department. Yeah.
Okay. So the departments of RBI and their functions. So we have 3 departments: monetary policy and research, regulation and risk management, and then there is supervision.
These are not the 3 departments. These are the bifurcation of functions of Reserve Bank of India. Okay. These are the bifurcation of functions. We said monetary policy and research is one function. Regulation and risk management is the second important function. And third important function is supervision. So we are having various departments under these 3 functions. Okay. So under the first function, we are having the MPD. That's the Monetary Policy Department.
Monetary Policy Department. Monetary Policy Department, MPD. Department of Economic and Policy Research, DEPR. Department of Statistics.
That is deep. That's deep. Yeah, DPR, right. Department of Economics and Policy Research. Yeah, next one.
Department of Statistics and Information Management, DSIM. Financial.
This is at Bandra Kurla complex. We called it as DSAX. That is the Department of Statistical Analysis. For example, now how many states are suffering from floods? So our managers like Jatin are working over there and seeing, they are interacting with the state government. We are interacting over there how much money you all require. So the statistical analysis of anything, whatever is happening in the country is taken. How much money is required? How much is the infrastructure development we require from the World Bank? So all the statistical analysis is done in this acts or the Department of Statistics and Information. Yeah, next one.
Then comes Financial Markets Operation Department, FMOD.
Yeah.
Then International Department, ID, Department of Communication, DOC.
Yeah.
Then
so
under the
International Department was previously called the ID, that's International Debt Management. We having internal debt management plus the international debt management. So for example, if some other countries is requesting loan from India, so if she is the manager in international department, so she will be scrutinizing that particular requirement. She will be putting up to the governor that this is a request come from a particular country. So if we can help, we help them out, right? So otherwise we we answer it in such a way. So we are having the International Debt Department, where we have taken crores of rupees from the International Monetary Fund also. So we are supposed to repay it. So all these things will be done from the International Department. Next is the Department of Communication. Yeah, Department of Communication. The press and all that. Anything pertaining to coming in the press and all, the Department of Communication handles. The monetary policy, which is being, every 6 months. So the Department of Communication gives, the briefing of the governor's speech and all that. And again, now we are having internet issues, internet banking. So all this comes under the Department of Communication. Yeah, next one.
Then under the function of regulation and risk management, we have DBR, Department of Banking Regulation, DNBR, Department of Non-Banking Regulation, DCBR, Department of Cooperative Bank Regulation, ED, Enforcement Department, Financial Stability Unit is FSU.
Yeah, so over here you will see regulation of banks. I told you the Reserve Bank of India is a regulator of banking in India. So you will see the Department of Banking Operations, which we used to call it DBOD, that is Department of Banking Operations, But now this is because of all the scams, we are having a lot of bifurcation in this department. You will see this department in Maker Tower, Maker Tower, that is the Department of Banking Regulations, the Department of Non-Banking Regulation, because of, Sahara scam. You can see it was a non-banking finance company. Still, it took crores of rupees from poor depositors in rural areas. They thought Sahara is a bank. And they took so much of money. So naturally, the RBI, if she is posted in the Department of Non-Banking Regulation, she need to keep an eye on all the NBFCs in India. So Department of Cooperative Banking, I said we had NABARD. National Agriculture Bank of Rural Development, which is taking care of all the cooperative banks in India pertaining to agriculture sector, the primary sector, of our Indian economy. So, but now this we had the Rural Planning RPCD, that was called the Rural Planning, Credit Department. Now it is made the Department of Cooperative Bank. Okay. Now we are having the Enforcement Department. Yes, very, very important. Yesterday you saw before the CBI, right? The ED has already taken over the investigation of a crime which happened. Maybe we don't know what has happened, but all the already the central vigilance, that is the Enforcement Department, as so to checking whether current account transactions and capital account transactions from the deceased person account, whether it is gone. So the law is made by the Reserve Bank of India. All of you got? We are having an exchange control department. We had an exchange control department for, the laws pertaining to foreign exchange management in India. Fine. So that's all become the Enforcement Department, wherein we also have the legal department. Okay. We're having the legal department. So anything, any banks into bad shape, we, the legal officers, we approach the court and we see to it that we are present on behalf of the Reserve Bank of India. Got me? So if these are all called the kuch bhi cases, any cases or depositor files anywhere, and if RBI is being informed, so RBI steps into the court And as a legal officer, I represent the Reserve Bank of India. Okay, but if I'm a legal officer for Reserve Bank of India, I cannot be a lawyer. That's why I stepped down. Okay, I stepped down. I can only handle RBI ka matters. Fine. So that's always same thing happening. Ye bank ka itna fault, ye bank ka this fault, ye bank ka this issue. So the legal department are the enforcement departments. Okay. Now next is the financial stability unit. Very, very important. The financial stability unit. I told you the internal debt management, the external debt management, the rural credit department, the monetary policy that is there in the first stage. But we are having now, the latest is the financial stability department. So some of you will be, concentrating on the important topics on banking law pertaining to these departments. Why India's financial stability is important. Why India's financial stability is important. Very, very important is the supervision function. Yeah, that's the Department of Banking Supervision. The Department of Banking Supervision. Yeah.
So
Yes.
then the Department of Banking Supervision is divided into two departments. That is Department of Banking Supervision and Department of Non-Banking Supervision.
Yeah.
And supervision by the Reserve Bank.
Previously, I was serving the Industrial and Exports Credit Department. I was serving the Industrial and Export Credit Department. When we exporting goods, what happens is we get dollars to the country. For example, if Jatin is exporting
Foreign exchange.
Foreign exchange, so you are getting foreign exchange to the country. So naturally we used to credit monitor. I used to do the credit monitoring of exports ka the finance, as Meet may be giving lakhs of rupees to an exporter. So whether he really did the pre-shipment and the post-shipment credit or not. So if Meet is a manager of a bank, so Meet has a right to give 50 lakhs as pre-shipment credit to an exporter. Can one of the team leader be the exporter over here? One of the team leader be come over here? I think so. Who's the next one to speak?
Mansi.
Yeah, so if Mansi is an exporter, and she needs 1 crore credit, and she is asking the loan to Meet, okay? And Meet gives 50 lakhs as pre-shipment credit, 50 lakhs as post-shipment credit. So once she ships to the other country, her jeans or whatever she's going to ship, designer wears to other country, that particular banker will, say that, yes, we have received it. So the next installment of 50 lakhs, again, Meet will transfer. So what used to happen was, it had become scam. People used to just export, some stupid things and, and they used to claim the crores of rupees. So that way also the manipulation used to take place. So we had the Industrial and Export Department, but now this has merged with the very, very important, that is the DBS, that is Department of Banking Supervision, whether the priority sector lending is going to people, proper people. And yes, if it is not, then their licenses will be cancelled. Okay, their licenses will be cancelled. So these are the latest amendment to the Reserve Bank of India departments, wherein supervision has become very strict. And if any fault anywhere, the central agencies are requested to interfere. The central agencies are requested. Enforcement Directorate for foreign exchange violations. For criminal acts, the CBI. Okay, for criminal acts pertaining to finance, the CBI will take over. Yeah, next one.
Supervision by the Reserve Bank is done both on-site and
off-site.
The offline surveillance.
On-site and off-site. On-site and off-site means, I told you, Melina is the inspector. Sitting inside the Reserve Bank, she will check all the banks. Everything comes in her laptop. So on-site surveillance she can do sitting in the RBI, and off-site surveillance she goes physically to all the banks. She may go today to Canara Bank. Next month she may be 1 month with Syndicate Bank. Maybe 1 month she is with Punjab National Bank. So that is the on-site and off-site supervision. They are called the inspection team. She will be sent along with her inspection team. AGM, DGM, they all will be giving, and under that they will be surveilling the entire banking industry. So it's not only on-site surveillance, it's also off-site surveillance. And we're having the camels as weapons she has. So she checks the capital adequacy, she checks the asset management, she checks the management of the bank, she checks the earning of Meet Khandelwal, whether he is earning properly with all the loans that he has given to the people of India, whether the interest is coming on time, and whether people's money is taken care of properly as a banker. Okay, so L for liquidity. So liquidity of the bank is very important. If today I go to Meet and I want to withdraw 4 lakhs, he cannot say, hey, ma'am, come tomorrow. Can he say, hey, ma'am, come tomorrow? No, because I have deposited. The moment I am asking him, he should be able to pay me. So that's L for liquidity. So camel, C for capital adequacy, A for asset management, M for management, E for earnings, L for liquidity, and S for, yes, internet banking and e-banking, the systems. So Melina will be also checking the systems of that particular bank. If she is not satisfied with the inspection, she gives a report, and this goes to the higher ups. And yes, they are summoned in front of the governor and the deputy governor and the executive director. Okay, they are invited there. Invited there means, yes, we politely invite them, and we sit on one side as the reserve bankers, and the other people sit on the opposite side, the CMDs, and then we ask them, why is this happening? They have to give an answer or legal action. It's handed over to the legal department, and the necessary legal action is taken pertaining to that bank. Okay, the necessary legal action is taken pertaining to that particular bank. Yeah. So now Mansi will be speaking on the supervision. Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. Kanika, don't go.
Okay.
Then I'll also go.
No, ma'am, I'm there.
Yeah. Yes, come on. Mansi.
Ma'am, supervision slide. This is the insurance.
Supervision. After the break, we'll do the remaining 3, okay? Yeah. Supervision of banks. Supervision.
Yeah, that one.
In supervision of banks, the students who are taking her as team leader will be definitely doing on cases. The Kingfisher case, you can do, on NPAs. Yeah, inability to pay debts. Inability to pay debts is a criteria for even a corporate to shut down. So similarly, yes. Not kidding. I finished it of what? Supervision. It's on the top. On the top.
Second slide from RBI.
Yeah, second slide from Reserve Bank of India. Actually, in our PPT, it was yeah, this one, yeah.
Okay, so I'll be talking about the supervision of bank, that is RBI. So first is granting license to bank and controlling the opening of new branches. Second is bank inspection. Third is control over non-bank financial institution.
Yes.
The non-bank financial institution are not influenced by the working of the monetary policy. RBI has right to issue directive to the NBFC from time to time regarding their functioning. Fourth one is implementation of DIGC, deposit insurance,
credit guarantee corporation. Yeah. I told you 1 lakh only each depositor will get. Yeah. If a bank closes, RBI will give only 1 lakh. Okay? Yeah.
In order to protect the small depositor, RBI works to implement the deposit insurance scheme in case of a bank failure for bank deposit below 1 lakh.
Yeah. Correct, yeah. Next one. Yeah, the banking regulation.
First is prohibition of trading. Second is non-banking assets. Third is management. Fourth is minimum capital and reserve. Fifth one is capital structure. Then payment of commission, brokerage, etc. Seventh is reserve fund or statutory reserve. Eighth one is cash reserve. Ninth one is liquidity norms. And the 10th one is restriction on loans and advances.
So
and the last is accountant audit.
Yeah, so just like the RBI Act, we're having the Banking Regulation Act. And these are the laws when people ask you in interview, what is CRR, what is SLR, what is a reserve fund, what is the capital structure of a bank, what do you mean by minimum capital? So all these definitions come under the Banking Regulation Act. Yeah.
Section 22 in Banking Regulation Act 1949. First is save as hereinafter provided. No company shall carry on banking business in India unless it holds a license issued in that behalf by the RBI, and any such license may be issued subject to conditions. So RBI bank may think fit to impose.
Yeah. Correct. So all the that's whatever is the powers of the Reserve Bank is given from the Banking Regulation Act. The powers of the Reserve Bank to supervise, the powers of the bank to issue licenses, grant licenses to whichever banks, then it has come from the Banking Regulation Act. Okay. Yeah. Next one. Next one.
Case on NPA and inability to pay the debts. The second is Sahara, then Kingfisher.
These are the projects the team will be doing. The projects the team will be doing. Okay. Yeah.
That is video on inability to pay debts and the remedies for the same. Random selection of the student, interaction to know awareness, LMI enables, that is easy, and online submission that should be done within the deadline.
Yeah. Correct. So all these are the projects that people will be doing. Yeah. Next one. Next one. Jatin, I think so. Next is insurance laws. We'll continue it after the break, right? Or do you want us to continue and leave the class first? What do you prefer? You're having a mentoring session, no? All of you?
Yes, ma'am.
So can we continue it and finish it off? Can we continue it and finish it off, class?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes? Okay, then continue.
Yes,
the insurance law. Yeah, continue the insurance law.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Yeah.
I am not there for the insurance.
Come on, appear on screen first. Both the insurance, IRDA also. The IRDA one. The IRDA. First, the insurance law can start. Yeah. Mansi, where is the insurance person? Janisha. Yeah, Janisha. Correct.
What happened, Jen?
Huh?
Ma'am, I am not insurance laws. I have IRDA.
So where is the other one, insurance?
I don't know, ma'am.
Okay, you start with insurance, Janisha. Start with this. Fine.
Yeah. Insurance laws, insurance terms, subrogation. Subrogation is a term describing a legal right held by most insurance carriers. Ma'am, I am on screen.
Okay, sorry. Yeah. Sorry.
So it is a term describing a legal right held by most of the insurance carriers to legally pursue a third party that caused an insurance loss to the insured. This is done in order to recover the amount of the claim paid by the insurance carrier to the insured for the loss. So the first is the contribution, second is the reinsurance, third is the double insurance, fourth is the standard clauses in insurance policies, and the fourth is the fire insurance and marine insurance.
Yeah, so when we did our contract law, we had done some clauses. We had done some very, very important clauses. One was the clause of indemnifying. If any loss happens, that particular party to the contract will, indemnify the loss. So the law of indemnity often pertains to the insurance company. It pertains to the insurance company. I told you they accept crores of rupees premium. Every month these insurance companies, crores of rupees of India's people's hard-earned money. They accept it for maybe life insurance, maybe fire insurance, maybe marine insurance, whatever it is, they take. So that is the subrogation. So like you had in company law. In company law, you had the doctrine of ultra vires, you had the doctrine of indoor management, you had the doctrine of constructive notice. Similarly, in this syllabus, you will have the doctrine of subrogation. Okay, subrogation is nothing else stepping into the shoes of another. Subrogation means stepping into the shoes of another. So in insurance, when, for example, I paid crores of rupees for my life and tomorrow I'm no more, so the insurance company steps into, so that's the basic principle is a third party will make good the loss. A third party will make whatever it is, maybe fire insurance, maybe marine insurance. So you will see the definition of subrogation is important. It's a legal right. It's a legal right. Yeah, come on, start. Tanisha.
Yeah. Subrogation is a term describing a legal right held by most insurance carriers to legally pursue a third party that caused an insurance loss to the insured. This is done in order to recover the amount of the claim paid by the insurance carrier to the insured for the loss.
Yeah.
The first is the contribution, reinsurance, double insurance, standard clauses in insurance policies, and fire insurance and marine insurance.
I think so. There's a guy who is doing insurance. Shetty or Kundar? Nishant Kundar is not there in the class. He's not there. Along with Janisha, he will be handling insurance.
No, ma'am. Nishant Kundar is not present, ma'am.
Okay, but he is there for insurance. Okay, now Janisha, you just we both will finish it off. Yeah, come on. Next one.
Next slide, please. Jatin, next slide.
Yeah, next slide, please. Doctrine of subrogation. Very, very important.
So, the subrogation claim is also subject to any defenses the debtor may have had against the subrogor. Contribution, on the other hand, is an insurer's right to be reimbursed partially or fully after paying more than its share of a loss. Reinsurance is the practice whereby insurers transfer portions of their risk portfolios to other parties by some form of agreement to reduce the likelihood of paying a large obligation resulting from an insurance claim. The party that diversifies its insurance. I had some network issues.
Yeah, oh, okay. Melina, just start with the next slide, please. Melina is absent. The other person is absent who is going to do the insurance along with her. Yeah, next one. Yeah.
Jyotan, next slide, please. Okay. Double insurance or double insurance.
So all those who are giving names for the insurance, maybe the marketing people also, they need to do research on this particular topic. Melina will be introducing to you the insurance law topic. Yeah.
Double insurance is a type of insurance where the same subject matter is insured more than once. In case of loss, the insured can claim from both the insurer and the insurer are liable to pay under their respective policies. Risk in insurance. Now, risk is divided into two. One is pure risk and speculative risk. In pure risk, it is also divided into three categories, that is personal risk, property risk, and liability risk. Now, we look into the personal risk. Now, personal risk may be caused due to death, disability, retirement, unemployment. So all of these kind of risk is going to be termed under personal risk, and this personal risk is insurable. Now, when you move on to property risk, there are like theft, destruction, damages. If you fall under these, then you are claimed to have a property risk, and this risk is also insurable. Liability risk, wherein you have your legal liability to the third party or representatives or public. This also is insurable. Now, moving on to the speculative risk. Under speculative risk, you have investment risk, market risk, and wager. Now, these are the risks which is not insurable. Is that the next? IRDA is being done by, I guess, Janisha, right?
Yeah.
Janisha is going
Yes,
to
ma'am.
continue the
Yeah,
IRD.
Janisha. Come on fast. Thank you, Velina.
Insurance Regulatory and Development Authority Act 1999 spells out the mission of the IRDA as to protect the interest of the policyholders, to regulate, promote, and ensure orderly growth of the insurance industry for matters connected therewith or incidental thereto. Functions and duties of IRDA. It issues the registration certificates to insurance companies and regulates them. It protects the interest of policyholders. It provides license to insurance intermediaries such as agents and brokers after specifying the required qualifications and set norms and codes.
Yeah. Correct. What happened?
Random selection of students.
Yeah, that you can read. No problem. We'll
Random selection of students and
the next you
for
read
participation.
various types of insurance.
Various types of insurance, how contracts executed. In insurance contracts, the insurer promises to pay for covered losses that the insured suffers, and the insured promises to abide by the contract and pay the premium. However, insurance contracts are unilateral contracts where only the insurer makes a legally enforceable promise to pay for covered losses. Why it comes under consumer law? Section 2 mandated okay, that's it, ma'am, for this slide.
Yeah, so that's in insurance regulatory, IRDA. That's insurance regulatory. That means we did today. Last time we had done the SEBI. That is, it's a regulator of corporates in India. RBI, the regulator of banking in India, and IRDA, the regulation, the regulatory organization for regulating the insurance sector. The insurance sector, that is, these are the financial sector which is important. They are. Nothing should happen that is prejudicial and affecting public interest. Nothing should happen that is prejudicial and affecting public interest. And therefore, these are the regulators who take care of India's finance. I think so. We have only SEBI now. SEBI, the last module will be for finance law. These are the contract. One of you will be doing this project on how a contract of insurance. You need to read carefully. You need to read carefully when you are signing, when you are, paying monthly 4,000, 10,000, 20,000, your premium on a particular insurance. You need to read properly what are the contractual clauses. Last time we had done on employment contract and we had done on commercial contracts. This time we'll be doing contract clauses on insurance. Okay, how we need to be careful. Otherwise, this matter goes up to the Supreme Court if a particular company refuses. So you may even get a case study on insurance. You may get a case study on insurance. So the insurance company may say that, for example, if Janisha is the general manager of an insurance company, and if there is a case pertaining to her company, and then she will start saying that this was not there in the clause that this particular disease is assigned. Maybe the cancer was or some other thing, and she or he expired of some other thing. So we are not liable to pay the amount. So it may be lakhs of rupees that a particular person's family is, crying for, and the company is not paying. So you also have to see the contractual terms and conditions when you enter into a insurance contract with a insurance company. So these are the cases which we'll be doing in insurance. We are going to do the cases in insurance. Yeah. Next one, SEBI. Who is for SEBI? Who is for SEBI? The captain is enjoying over there. Yeah.
Ma'am,
who is for SEBI?
Nikita Panchal, ma'am.
Yeah, Nikita. Nikita will be the leader for SEBI.
Yes, ma'am.
Already, we are having 2 more for SEBI, I think so, right?
Yes, ma'am.
One for the powers of SEBI.
Ma'am, I'm doing powers of SEBI.
Yeah, powers and functions of Security Exchange Board of India. And the other team leader will be for takeover cases. Takeover cases, that is hostile takeover and friendly takeover. So some of you can do a case on hostile takeover, what went wrong, friendly takeover, how 1 plus 1 has become 3. You can take a project of 2, very nice. For example, Flipkart taking over Myntra, how to one good company taking over a better company or a best company, and how they are becoming more powerful, So some of you may be doing a project on hostile takeover, right? So here she's going to introduce you. She's going to introduce you on
SEBI.
Yes, the powers and functions of SEBI. Again, this we had done a brief in the company law session. Now we have to do it in detail. SEBI. Yeah.
A SEBI, regulator of corporates. Stock market is a place where people buy, sell shares of publicly listed company. It offers a platform to facilitate seamless exchange of shares. In simple terms, if A wants to sell shares of Reliance Industry, the stock market will help him to meet the seller who is willing to buy Reliance Industry. Financial markets are of two types, that is money market and capital market. In capital market, there are two primary markets, secondary market. In secondary market, there is stock market and over the counter, that is OTC.
Yes, correct.
Yeah. Next.
These are the types of financial markets. Yeah.
Types
so
of
some of you will be doing a research on capital market under her team leadership. Okay. Yeah. Next
types
one.
Of financial markets, that is capital market, consist of primary and secondary. First is primary bond market. It is newly issued bonds and stocks are exchanged. And in secondary market, that is stock buying and selling already exists between existing bonds and stocks takes place. Bond market provides financing by bond issuance and bond trading. Stock market provides financing by shares or stocks issuance and by share trading, facilitates raising of capital. Ma'am, this is
we will be also having quiz. SEBI. Yes, correct.
SEBI. Some major regulatory functions are: SEBI enforce defined guidelines and code of conduct that are important. It registers all intermediaries, share market agents, trustees, etc. Regulates the function of mutual funds and the takeovers of the companies.
I told you in takeover we will be doing some case on a big fish taking over a small fish. We can do how even the Air Deccan was taken over by a luxury airliner, and both had a crisis. Both had a crisis. Both went into loss. So takeover of corporates. Cases you will be doing. Next one.
SEBI controls the regulation of stock exchange and capital market, prohibition of fraudulent and unfair trade, improving education and training of intermediaries to the securities market, promoting investors and registering intermediaries, regulating substantial acquisition of shares and takeovers of.
Here I would like to say, last time I had explained to you, what do you mean by a takeover? It is substantial acquisition of shares. It is substantial acquisition of shares of another company. So there is a target company and there is a PAC, that is a person acting in concert. Like an orchestra, a corporate or an individual or a body form organization is planning to take over a target company. So that is the substantial acquisition of shares and the voting rights. Maybe the shares, maybe the voting rights. So very, very important. Again, it is the shareholders' money. A company is having the shareholders' money. So naturally, if a shareholder is expecting some other company, some other corporate taking over his company where he is invested his shares, he need to have a right to exit from that. For example, if Kingfisher is taking over Air Deccan and the shareholders didn't want this to happen, they wanted to exit. So whether a chance was given to the shareholder to exit that before the takeover take place. So therefore, there are certain rules by SEBI that it has to be publicized in newspaper and all that. Okay, the transfer, the merger, the acquisition of shares, it should be advertised so that the shareholders willing to stay back will stay back. The shareholders wanting to exit will exit. They will sell their shares in OMOs, that is open market operations. They will sell their shares in OMOs or open market operations, and then they can exit that particular company. But you will see many cases where fraudulent things happening and without the permission, or maybe, you know, certain regulations are skipped and immediate overnight takeover take place. So some of you will be doing some cases where this takeover, the takeover of certain two companies become a flop or maybe was successful. So these are all things for you that your next semester in corporate governance, you get a good grip of the subject of corporate governance. Okay. So yes, over SEBI.
Next slide.
Yeah. Power of
Power
SEBI.
of SEBI. Example of insider trading that are illegal include a CEO of a corporation buys 1,000 shares of stock in the corporate. An employee of a corporation exercises stock option, and a board member of a corporation buys 5,000 share of stock inside.
Yeah, correct.
Obviously, the reason insider trading is illegal is because it gives an insider an unfair advantage in the market, puts the interest of the insider above those to come to whom he or she, and allows an insider to artificially influence the value.
Yeah. So artificial influence of value of a share take place. We did it in insider trading also. UPSI, unpublished price sensitive information given to people who are close to the directors. Huh? Top people, top executives, they start indulging in unfair trade practices. UFT, unfair trade practices. They start doing ultra wire transactions which are against the SEBI law, which are against the SEBI law. So therefore we are having the SEBI, you can see over there, that's the SEBI, and they're having a security appellate board also. See, if this wasn't a semester where there was no lockdown, you know, we could have gone to all this organization. I would have taken you to the Reserve Bank of India, the SEBI, you know, these were all departments of RBI, you know. So, but because of the scams, all these things have happened. So now SEBI is having a appellate tribunal also inside, wherein if she is the CEO of SEBI, for example, she is the CEO of SEBI, she can, you know, penalize crores of rupees if a complaint comes about insider trading, unpublished price sensitive information, maybe 2 crores. So you'll be doing a very nice case. One of you will be doing a very nice case of a doctor in Mulund. She was a doctor in Mulund, but crores of rupees were transferred to her by a company owner staying at Shivaji Park, Dadar. And this reached, this information, she got it as the CEO of SEBI, that insider trading has happened. And afterwards, you know, the company went into a loss, or maybe it went into close. But this lady, when she was summoned to the appellate tribunal by her as the CEO, and crores of rupees she was penalized, 2 crores she was penalized for insider trading. She said that I am not aware how the money came into my account. I don't know how I'm a doctor. I don't know how this amount came into my, but as the procedure went along, same the civil procedure code, the criminal procedure code, she has the power. You have the power in the appellate tribunal. So you will be questioning her, you know, the lawyers, the legal counsels will be counseling her, and questioning her. There will be cross-examination. Again, you have the right to, you know, freeze her account, from where the money came and all these things. And finally, it was seen that she was aware of it. When you know, when the crime branch investigated her premises, they could find out many you know, share market ka books with her, though she is a doctor. Why she was reading all these things? So there was proved that she had a link with that particular executive, and therefore crores of rupees were published into an account. So these particular case also, one of you will be showing it as insider trading, wherein SEBI has the power to penalize crores of rupees. Yeah. Yes, that is, yeah, SEC tracking. Yeah, fine.
Questions on SEBI, SEC tracking, market surveillance activities. This is one of the most important way of identifying insider trading.
Yeah.
Criminal penalties. The maximum prison sentence for an insider trading violation is now 20 years. The maximum and the maximum fine for non-natural persons.
Correct.
Such
So,
as
yeah, so you all understood why this maximum imprisonment is given. Because it's the people's money, it's the shareholders' money, it is the depositors' money. So you, as a SEBI CEO, will have the power, and criminal investigation take place. And that lady who was just now pleading that I don't know who is my husband's friend, but I don't know how the money came into my account. So naturally, they have to face criminal prosecution. They have to face criminal prosecution, not only civil, but also criminal prosecution. So this is the importance of SEBI. Got me? This is the importance of SEBI. Thank you so much. Almost everything is done, right? Yes. So the class, yes, I want all of you all on the screen, please. All the team leaders, please, by tomorrow, all those who are interested in this finance projects under their team leadership, kindly give their names. We need to start training for you, because from next Tuesday or Thursday onwards, we are having 1 hour session on each laws. Today we combined the 2 hours for the entire. From next Thursday onwards, we are having 6 sessions of banking finance laws. Okay, so at least 5 in a team. 5 in a team, you all can, the class can just select your whichever you like, and please see to it that all of you are actively participating in this and score your internal marks. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
As I said, nothing is difficult in this. Negotiable instrument, you saw, it's just bill of exchange, it is just check bouncing, it is just how we lawyers approach the court as a criminal offense under section 138 plus under 415 of Indian Penal Code, right? And I told you the next is the SARFAESI. So students who are wanting to do, who are planning to become future managers, and they are giving loans and the people are not giving back their loan, it is you have the power. You have the power to attach. You don't have to depend on a lawyer to give a legal notice. You can give a notice as the manager of the bank, and start the process of attachment, a reconstruction of assets. And the third we saw is the Reserve Bank of India. Those students who are interested in the central banking of our country, the currency manager, the foreign exchange manager. You saw yesterday the live case you can see about the Enforcement Directorate. So you all can even speak about that particular case also, what they are investigating. Interesting it is. You can see your well-known personality, his account is being monitored by the ED. These are all central vigilance agencies, okay, like the CBI, DRI, ED. They are same in level. They have the power to arrest. Okay, RBI doesn't have the power to arrest. RBI officers can only make the laws. If any violation, if any infringement of any rights or any cases are being reported to the Reserve Bank, yes, then the Enforcement Directorate is required to step in and arrest. Okay, so you all will know how this case will go now. Yesterday's case where the CBI and ED, now you all will know the law, and you all can presume that what can happen to the accused. They can be arrested. They can be in judicial interrogation. So if a judicial officer, if a Enforcement Directorate officer arrests one of the accused, they can be produced in front of the magistrate, and under custodial interrogation, these accused, maybe she or maybe her brother, whoever, they are answerable to how crores of rupees went outside the country from the deceased account, how it went, whether he had agreed or whether he had forcibly taken or whatever it is. Interrogation, we call it as custodial interrogation. Okay, and then once the confession is given, then they request the court that now let him go to jail. Now let him go to JC. We don't want their custody. So custody is of two types: PC, that is police custody, and JC, that is judicial custody. So the Enforcement Directorate has the right to take custody of this accused. Okay. So from tomorrow onwards, please give an eye to this particular case also. Okay, how they are going to investigate and how an accused can be arrested for current account and capital account transactions, which may be with good intention or maybe with without. So if the intention was bad, naturally they will have custodial. The judge will give them custodial interrogation. That is PC. The ED, the police. ED is the central police, so they will get the custody. Okay, and once 20-25 days, you will raid all their premises, all houses. You will raid, all documents you will take, and once you're happy and you're satisfied, then you tell the court that yes, now we don't want custody, you can send them to jail. Then their lawyers will ask for bail, and then they may come out or they may not come out. It depends upon the procedural laws. Okay, so this is very, very important. Next 5 sessions, please see to it that all of you are doing seriously. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so
Are the
much.
papers checked?
I am doing it now. Today I'll be finishing it off.
Okay, ma'am.
All of you have done nice. Most of them are done cut and paste. I'm not supposed to tell that, but then it's good at least, you know, because you were listening to me, you all participated in all of you participated. All of you participated in the, you know, almost all points of law. So it's good. All of them have done good. By tomorrow, I'll be putting it. This Sunday, I'll put it. Okay?
Okay, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. You're having a mentoring session, so you all can be there. Okay? Bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye,
Thank
ma'am.
you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Take care.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Bye. We can end the meet now.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Bye, ma'am.
Bye,
Bye.
ma'am.
Jatin and Malina, thank you so much, along with the CBI officer. Bye.
Bye, bye, ma'am.
Bye, ma'am.
Bye. Bye. Bye.